Okay. So again, welcome to this webinar to learn about doing business with GSA. I'd like to introduce Alex Stutzman. He is the Region 10 and Region 8 Small Business Technical Advisor who is working at the Office of Small Business Utilization at GSA. He has advocates for small business. He's our partner when it comes to learning about how we can help small businesses. We do appreciate all the input from our small business offices around all the different agencies. GSA in particular has some great programs for small business, so I'm glad you can attend and learn more today from Alex. Alex brings a variety of perspectives on federal acquisition process to the GSA. He joined the GSA in 2023 after 5 years with the Department of Defense Naval Sea Systems Command, which is called NAVSEA. He served as a contracting specialist and a contracting officer in the Puget Sound region, Bremerton, Washington. And he's from Tacoma, Washington, and I was really happy to see that, Alex. I spent 25 years living in Washington myself, so we're glad you came to Montana. It's like I am. I'm happy to be here now. And it looks like Alex is an outdoor lover and a Mariners fan, so those two things can't be too shabby. So with that, I'm going to start by talking just a few minutes about our Apex services here. Most of the people on this call are going to know how we help you. We provide no-cost services to businesses that want to explore the government market. We do hands-on technical assistance and counseling on all topics, including everything from getting registered in SAM to putting your bid packages together and learning how to identify opportunities and be successful in the government market. And that's for federal, state, and local opportunities. And we have a statewide program here in Montana with our Apex advisors at different centers around the state. We support the entire state, and we're really proud to be part of the team. You know, I'm really proud to be part of this team that helps so many Montana businesses. While I'm on the call here now, I'd like to introduce Terry Murphy. She's also with our Apex here in Missoula. And then Josie Eads is here with the Apex in Lewistown. Did I miss any of our Apex people? Because I'm not looking at the list of participants right now.
Yes, we have Teresa Brownell.
Oh,
We
great.
have, I know we have more Mariah and Great
Mariah.
Falls. And we have Deanna and Billings.
Great.
Let's see. I feel like I saw somebody else.
Maybe Shannon.
Did I miss anybody? No, I think I got all of us who are on.
Okay, perfect. Well, with that, I appreciate that. And I just appreciate everyone being on the call today. If you haven't had a moment yet to type your name and your business name in the chat, I would ask you to do that. That helps us with our record keeping, and it allows us to know to whom to send the slides after. Those will be available, and we'll follow up with that. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Alex Stutzman with the GSA Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you so much. So I'm really happy to be here. I can say that I'm just newly taking over for the Region 8 Small Business Specialist that retired here this month. So I'm still learning the landscape of your beautiful state, but I am very familiar with it. I was originally born in Spokane, Washington, which is a hop, skip, and a jump over from Montana. I know how great it is and how beautiful that state is. And I'm really excited to get to work with all the small businesses in that state. And I will foot stomp how amazing Apex is as a resource. Please utilize them as much as possible. I will mention them a couple of times in the presentation today, but their services are invaluable and at no or low cost to you. So there are a lot of alternatives out there that will charge you thousands of dollars for what they offer. So please utilize their trainings, their counseling, and everything as much as possible. And I'm really proud and happy to be here today. So with that, I am going to jump into my presentation. As Patty said, we'll if you could write down your questions as they pop up, we'd love to answer those at the end. I think we'll have plenty of time. But if I don't get to your questions, my contact information is going to be at the end of this presentation and the slides will go out to you. So please reach out. I'm happy to do one-on-one sessions with folks, as well as provide any sort of counseling, GSA specific as much as I can. So I'll kind of just jump right in. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Alex Stutzman, as was mentioned, and I work for the U.S. General Services Administration, also known as the GSA. I'm a small business technical advisor with GSA, and these slides are going to be made available as we stated. So please write down your questions, like I just said. We should have time at the end, and you'll also be able to email me. But before we get started, I'd like to share a brief note. I know everything is really changing with the government and federal procurements, and I'm sure, as you guys are all aware, things are changing very quickly. So just keep in mind that the information I'm providing today reflects the most current guidance we have available. However, policies, regs, and procedures, they change over time. So ensuring that you have the latest details, we encourage you to stay informed through our official GSA and government channels, like our websites. We have different blogs and social media accounts. I would recommend you keep up to date with those, as we're going to announce any sort of change through all of those official channels. So our goal is to provide you with the most accurate info, though, that I have as of today. So we appreciate your understanding if that information is updated or changed in the future, as that is happening very quick and very fast in the government procurement landscape right now. So we'll get started here with the information we'll cover here today. So we're going to start with a glossary of terms, then move into an agency overview of GSA, as well as how to access our federal contract opportunities, the forecast of those contracting opportunities, and we'll end with small business resources. And I'll if we have some time at the end, actually pull those up and share my screen to show you guys some of those resources and where to find those. So before we get started, it's always great to do a quick refresher on acronyms. So acronyms are a part of every government procurement, and every federal agency has its own unique acronyms. GSA is no exception, but we do have some that are used by all federal agencies as well. We call it kind of governmentese of its own language. So it's really important to make sure that you understand those specific acronyms, what they stand for, the programs they're related to, and all of that. So the big ones that we want to call out first are GSA Mass or FSS. Those can be somewhat interchangeably used, but we'd like to clarify that GSA is the organization. Mass, multiple award schedule, that's one of the contracts and is what one of the vehicles we use to procure things. That is not what GSA and Mass are not one and the same. GSA is the organization. Mass is what we do. We also like to note that Federal Supply Schedule, or FSS, is also used when referring to schedules. That also includes 9 VA schedules for medical supply services and technology. So Mass is not going to include those 9 VA schedules, but if you hear the term FSS, or Federal Supply Schedule, that does include those 9 VA schedules for medical supply services and technology. So couple more that I want to highlight is OSDBU, so Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Most federal agencies have a small business section of their offices, which I will discuss more specifically on ours as we move through today's presentation, but it is good to know that OSDBU is generally the acronym used for Offices of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Another one I want to highlight is IDIQ, so indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. Many of you have probably heard of that, but it's a type of contract used when the total amount of products or services can't be easily identified. It gives the contracting officer flexibility to have one contract cover multiple years when the contracting officer knows they'll need at least a minimum and a maximum, but they're not sure where and exactly those quantities over the life of the contract, so they set up IDIQs, and that is just a contract vehicle that we utilize. But when you see that, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity is what IDIQ stands for. Lastly, I have two more that we want to clue in on, which is SIN, which is special item numbers. Those are closely associated with NAICS code designations. NAICS is North American Industry Classification System codes, for those that are unaware. That is how we delineate work by industry, and then special item numbers are within our schedule, within MASS, the multiple award schedule, how we divvy out those NAICS codes. So those are the different categories under MASS. So just remember, special item numbers relates to MASS, which is related to NAICS codes. Kind of a confusing little connection there, but I'm happy to discuss if there's any questions on that and how we have that set up. And then lastly, GSA schedules, we just like to note, has undergone a pretty significant change the last few years as we have done a consolidation program called the One Schedule. So this change had GSA consolidate 24 of our schedules into one schedule. That is the GSA MASS. This has simplified our contracting processes and allowing contractors to have one contract instead of multiple with us as an agency. And those can span over multiple products and services. So they're one multiple award schedule contract can offer everything that that company would like to sell to the federal, local, state, or any level of government. So moving right along here, we'll go over a general GSA agency overview. So GSA is a federal civilian agency, and this slide kind of gives you a snapshot about GSA and our mission. So our mission is to deliver value and savings in real estate, acquisition technology, and other mission support services across the federal government. We provide workplaces, by constructing, managing, preserving government buildings, leasing, and managing commercial real estate. GSA is one of the federal government's largest buyers and contracts for billions of dollars worth of products and services for other federal civilian agencies and DoD customers worldwide. Our policies promote management best practices, efficient government operations, and we really kind of do a little bit of everything, as you can tell by the name General Services Administration. So what does all that mean to a small business? Well, GSA serves the same customer agencies you're probably marketing to. So if you're interested in selling to the federal government, it may be worth your time to explore what GSA has to offer. And I hope I give you some good information to get started with that here today. So jumping into our office, OSDBU was created as part of the Small Business Act and amended by Public Law 95-507 and subsequent supporting legislation. So we are codified by law, and GSA OSDBU provides leadership to the agency to attain its federally mandated small business goals, in addition to our specific responsibilities under the Small Business Act, Federal Acquisition Regulation, which many of you might have heard of, which is the FAR, the General Services Administration Regulation, the GSAM, which is our supplement to the FAR, and all the other supporting small business legislation and executive orders. We help you guys navigate that, as well as provide input, counseling, and everything with regards to those legislations and how to navigate that federal procurement landscape. So we work for OSDBU, specifically the Small Business Technical Advisors, and we're your small business advocates. We really do want to advocate for you. So our office is referred to often as the front door for small businesses looking to do business with the GSA. We oversee the small business programs and provide counseling, as I mentioned, to small businesses on how to do business with us, but we also promote increased access to our nationwide procurement opportunities by working with our acquisition workforce to make sure that we're going out with sources sought and things of that nature, industry days, all sorts of good things to promote our requirements to make sure that small businesses get a fair shake and are aware of what we're doing. So we monitor and implement those small business policies, manage a range of programs mandated by those laws and regs that I mentioned. So these programs that we manage include many of the programs you see listed here, but also we're going to talk about a lot more in depth in the next coming slides. But really the big thing to take away is small business advocates are just that. We are your advocates. We're here to champion you guys. So please, we want to be here. We want to know you guys are out there. We want to know your capabilities, past performance of what you've done, whether you've worked for the government, whether you haven't. We're really here to advocate for you guys to get a fair chunk of our procurement dollars, and all that's where that small business utilization comes in. So Moving right along, we'll jump into kind of how GSA is set up. So as of right now, and this is subject to change, we are currently set up in a regional footprint. Our office works to increase small business participation in our acquisitions, and we advocate for the utilization of all the socioeconomic categories of small businesses. And when I say socioeconomic categories, many of those are defined through the Small Business Administration, SBA, and their contracting assistance programs. So certifications like women-owned, small disadvantage, and veteran-owned are some of, but not all, those socioeconomic categories. There's a lot more information you can learn about our offices by visiting those websites, which again, these slides will go out so you have access to those links. The map here shows the different regions. Obviously, we are not going to just do Region 8, Region 9, Region 10, where everything's super cut out. There is sharing of workforce, knowledge, and all of that between the regions, but specifically how the contracts go out is they're through acquisition centers that are located in these 11 regions. So right now you guys sit in Region 8, Montana does, and please feel free to reach out to your local GSA small business specialists in any region you're looking to do business, because I do Region 8 and Region 10, but if you're looking to do work in, say, Nevada or Arizona, or Texas, or any of those other regions, we have regional contacts. My counterparts for each of those regions can help you guys out. So GSA is made up of two components, which offer contract opportunities. So we have our public building services, also known as PBS, and our federal acquisition services, also known as FABs. We'll start with PBS. GSA and PBS lead the way in building design, construction, retrofit, sustainable operations, and maintenance. GSA is kind of considered the government's landlord, and as you can see, PBS owns and or leases over 8,800 assets. So we maintain an inventory of more than 370 million square feet of workspace for 1.1 million federal employees and preserve more than 500 historic properties nationwide. So if you offer services in construction, maintenance, building ops, leasing, or any other related construction service, it's probably in your best interest to go to the GSA PBS website listed there. Obviously, it's a pretty short URL. You can Google that, get there pretty quickly. Oh, excuse me, sorry, my slides switched over. Am I still sharing?
Yes, we can still see the public.
Okay, I just wanted to check, you
service
guys.
slide.
It's
Mhm.
for whatever reason the Zoom meeting popped up over it. Apologies. So yeah, it's a really good reason to join our PBS websites to go look into some of that information about what are our opportunities, what do we procure, where do we procure them, and then reaching out to the small business professionals in the regions, whether that's you want to do work in Montana, which would be Region 8, you'd speak to me, and we could go over all the different PBS contracts and contracting opportunities that we have in Montana or the surrounding regions. So with that, we'll jump into FAS. This is the other arm of GSA, and it's called the Federal Acquisition Services, also known as FAS. FAS offers an access to a wide variety of contract opportunities, and their contract vehicles offer billions of dollars worth of products and services and facilities that federal agencies need to serve the public. So there's always an open solicitation available for you to become an industry partner and help GSA supply federal agencies with high quality products and services. FAS uses contract vehicles known as the GSA Multiple Award Schedule, or MAS. They also use blanket purchase agreements, BPAs, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, IDIQ contracts, and lastly, government-wide acquisition contracts, also known as GWACs, which we'll discuss here in a sec. Most of those GWACs are in the IT space. If you're still not sure where to start, please reach out to us. We are happy to assist you in getting started about what kind of business line you guys correlate with and align with best, and how you can best get started with us. So also don't forget, and I will foot stomp this, I mentioned at the beginning, please use your Apex Accelerator representatives, as they can provide help in responding to our solicitations, in addition to numerous other services at no cost or low cost. So please, I'm going to foot stomp that. please utilize them. They are an amazing resource, and they really help us to identify small businesses that are capable and willing to do the work that we have. So we don't only buy, I do like to highlight that FAST also auctions off real estate, furniture, computers, all sorts of other things. So if you're interested in actually buying from us through auctions, the GSA auction website is listed there. You're going to find a lot of the things with office buildings being shuffled right now, a lot of old equipment and things that we're auctioning off, as well as real estate itself. So if you want to do business with GSA or any other federal agency, there are minimum requirements you must meet, which includes registering in System for Award Management, which is sam.gov. You'll have to obtain a unique entity identifier, UEI number, through sam.gov entity registration process. And please note your former DUNS numbers. I know most people have transitioned out of those, but just like to mention that they're no longer listed in sam.gov and they're no longer used by the federal government. So we recommend changing any capability statements, email signature blocks, email newsletters, etc., to remove your DUNS number and add your SAM UEI, as that is the unique entity identifier that we are going to use to identify your company. So more information, please visit our GSA website, gsa.gov/entity ID, which is listed on that slide if you have more just questions or want more information about those UEIs and the DUNS being sunset. Your SAM.gov registration ties into how the federal government and potential small business teaming partners will find your company. So you'll want to make sure you complete your company profile in SAM.gov. Generally, a contracting officer who's looking for like a particular firm will use SAM.gov and the dynamic small business search database from SBA to view a list of companies in an industry selling the products or services they're looking for in a particular region, or a nationwide search for market research purposes. So it is really important to make sure you have UEIs and things like your capability statement uploaded into the dynamic small business search database. You'll also have to identify your NAICS code to work with us. So which stands for, as we mentioned a couple slides back, the North American Industry Classification System. So the NAICS code identifies your industry and is crucial in doing business with the federal government. So when a federal agency is posting an opportunity, it'll be specific to a NAICS code, because that helps us identify the size standards and identify the small businesses available. Those size standards are set through SBA and have to do with number of personnel or revenue. You can have more than one NAICS and be both large and or small, depending on the NAICS code size standards. So keep that in mind. You might be a small business in one NAICS code, but you're not in another. It's important to determine your business category and also any socioeconomic status. For example, women-owned business, hub zone, or service-disabled veteran-owned business. There are contracting benefits for a small business by socioeconomic category, so it's important to identify each category you're eligible for and utilizing the SBA website and their certification processes for those certifications. If you fall into any of these categories, there will be opportunities set aside, especially for each of those categories, and having these different statuses will allow you to pursue specific socioeconomic set-aside opportunities, as we do have mandated federal goals for each one of those socioeconomic categories. So there's a lot of research to do during this stage of the process. I recommend working with your Apex accelerators in your area to assist in working through the process of making sure you identify your NAICS, making sure you identify multiple NAICS where you fall within the size standard of those NAICS. Apex accelerators are incredibly helpful with that. I can also assist with that as well, and help you walk through that process. So let's kind of get into how to access federal contract opportunities. Well, to find federal contract opportunities, you'll again need to visit System for Award Management, sam.gov, which is the government's point of entry for federal agencies to contract opportunities, to post special notices, requests for information or sources sought notices, which I really want to say is really uber important, is responses to RFIs or sources sought is the primary way we're able to set things aside for small business or socioeconomic categories. So after you're registered in sam.gov, you'll then use the same system to start looking for those contracting opportunities you're looking to respond to. Also, SAM.gov is evolving and consolidating other retiring federal legacy sites. So the integration of these systems follows the successful integrations of assistance listings, wage determinations, contract opportunities, and contract data reports. There's a lot of information in SAM.gov that we've kind of taken from other sites. It's now all in SAM.gov as a central location for that information. So the website's going to continue to grow. It'll be helpful to do some research on the site before you try to go through the certification process, but it's very easy to check out sam.gov, the learning centers for more information and helpful hints. I will say sam.gov, it has a help desk. I, can't recommend that they're always going to be very helpful because sometimes the specific issues are something that they've either never seen before or something that they can't work through very easily. Or sometimes the wait times are very long as it is a national help desk line. So please, I am a good resource because if you're having issues with SAM registrations, I can try to escalate that problem up out above the help desk to some of the offices that help support SAM.gov. So just keep in mind, I am a resource for that. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to fix your problem, but I can try to escalate it to somebody that absolutely can. So that is sam.gov. We are now going to move into MAS. So the next few slides, we will touch on one of our most popular GSA contract vehicles. You may be more familiar with the term schedules, which is now called GSA MAS and stands for multiple award schedules. These are long-term government-wide contracts with commercial companies that provide access to millions of commercial products and services at fair and reasonable prices to the government. Schedules make buying easy and efficient and connects government buyers and industry partners. Here's another reason why it may be worth looking into MAS is it generates over $42 billion in sales a year. So that's a huge number. Once you obtain a GSA MAS contract, you can market directly to our customer agencies, which include the federal agencies, state and local government agencies, and other organizations who make up that $42 billion in sales every single year. So with all that said, we need industry partners like you who provide services and products to help us meet our mission and our goals. And there are potential opportunities in both subcontracting and prime contracting arenas. If you want to know where to start, visit GSA MAS Roadmap at the website there. That's about a 6-step roadmap of the steps that you would need to take to get onto MAS. One of those is a readiness assessment to see if your company's ready. There's also, is it a good fit? And there's other trainings around it because MAS is not a one-size-fits-all. But we will say that it is a very great contracting vehicle that we see a lot of success off of. So if you're not able to pursue a GSA MAS contract at this time, say you're not eligible, please visit GSA for Business websites listed on the bottom right. This website will help you identify the various contract vehicles, services, and products that we buy, various vendor support, and other programs relevant to businesses who are interested in selling to the federal government outside of the MAS program. As we have many contracts outside of it, this is just our largest and most popular. So if you have any of the industries listed here, if you're in, any of the industries listed here, you may want to start your research on pursuing a GSA MAS contract. Veteran Affairs, or the VA, also has contract opportunities for companies in the medical industry. I previously had mentioned if you hear federal supply schedule, that's MAS plus the schedules for the VA. So those are all going to be listed on that GSA e-library site that's listed there. And you can visit that for a pretty comprehensive list of the schedules that are available. You'll also be able to access more information about the different categories that are listed there and do further research. I highly recommend that GSA e-library site as you don't have to sign in. It's a public-facing site. You can do a lot of really easy market research on who competitors are that might already have a MAS contract. Highly recommend visiting that GSA e-library.gsa.gov website for more information. So this slide provides the location of several resources you should use when considering or pursuing a GSA schedule contract. The best resources, as I mentioned before, in the first link listed is the GSA MAS Roadmap. It also provided is an easy way to locate the GSA mass solicitation. It's massive. Not all of it's going to apply to every single company. It highly depends on the supplier service you're offering, but it is open and like anybody can download it and read it to make sure you understand the solicitation and the onboarding process. So it may also be found in sam.gov under contracting opportunities. I think we're on mass refresh 19. That just means that we've refreshed that solicitation roughly 19 times to add in new language, remove outdated language, and things like that. So it is on sam.gov, but it's also, I would say the easier way to find it is through the Mass Roadmap where it's linked directly. So I also recommend signing up on GSA Interact, which will help you keep current and subscribe to updates which are aligned with your company's interests. That's sort of like our blog where we post updates on the various programs, whether that's Mass, OASIS, which I haven't really discussed, but is another one of our big contracting vehicles that we have a lot of information about on GSA Interact, as well as our other GWACs, which I'll dive into here in a little bit. All right, so here is a list of GSA's government-wide acquisition contracts, or GWACs. So a GWAC is a pre-competed, multiple award, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract that agencies can use to buy total IT, and I will foot stomp it, is IT solutions. Through these GWACs, the federal government can buy cost-effective, innovative solutions for IT, and basically, we got 4 of them listed there. Those are the big ones. We also have other smaller BPAs for some certain actions in the IT space. The total contract ceiling for each GWAC is in the billions. So if you're in the IT industry, please visit those websites and view the list of those contract holders. You may find potential teaming and or subcontracting opportunities with the current contract holder if you're not ready to take on millions and millions of dollars worth of prime contracting. So you can get updates on all of these GWACs by signing up for the applicable GSA Interact that is associated with each one of those different contracts. And you can sign up for those through the link posted there. All right, and then this slide links to numerous GSA resources for the GSA schedule. So first, we recommend attending the monthly GSA Mass Office Hours webinar. This is your chance to engage with Mass subject experts. You can also sign up using the registration link listed on the slide. It's a really good resource. We highly recommend it. It's those subject matter experts are very hard to get a hold of sometimes otherwise, so that office hours is a great opportunity to catch those folks with your questions or just want more information. So you can also catch up and view past monthly GSA Mass Office Hour webinars by following the YouTube link listed there as well. If you have follow-up questions about the Mass program or any of the YouTube videos, you can always email the GSA Mass team directly at masspmo@gsa.gov, and someone from the team will respond. I will say that is a national inbox, so responses are not speedy, but they are very thorough, and they do try to get to everybody that sends an email to it. So also check out all of the GSA training opportunities available at gsa.gov/events. That's going to be OSDBU events, but also all of the program offices do trainings and different events throughout the year. And those are very helpful, as small business trainings are great, but also don't maybe get in the weeds as much as some of the program ones that are going to really dig into the different acquisition vehicles and procurement methods that we have. So one last mention is GSA has added a new feature to GSA eBuy, which allows GSA Mass contract holders to easily inform agencies they're interested in an RFQ or RFI. So if you are already a GSA schedule holder, please check out the link provided for instructions and updated guidance on how to do that. It's a fairly new feature, but it has been in place for a little bit, where they have pretty thorough guidance on how to utilize that function within GSA eBuy. So what is a sources sought notice? Well, when federal agencies are looking to identify an acquisition strategy, we conduct market research. Another way to conduct market research is by posting a sources sought notice. These notices are posted on sam.gov, and the results of these notices will help form the contracting officer's determination of whether or not they can set aside altogether or part of a requirement to either socioeconomic categories such as 8A, hub zone, women-owned, service disabled, just general veteran-owned, small disadvantage. I think I've caught all of them, but that's how we primarily are able to set things aside, is based off responses to sources sought notices. These sought notices help us document those findings and support us if a solicitation will go out full and open or be set aside. Full and open means it's open to both large and small businesses. When we receive 2 or more responses from small businesses, though, who are capable of performing the product or service, we can successfully set aside a contract opportunity. That's per our federal acquisition regulations. It's called the rule of 2. So as long as we can find 2 and get 2 responses that they're capable and willing to bid, we can set that requirement aside for small business. So a sources sought can ultimately determine if the solicitation is set aside or not, and is the biggest way that we do that. Further, it can determine if the solicitation be set aside even more than just small business, specifically to one of those socioeconomic categories. So say we get 2 women-owned or 2 veteran-owned small businesses, we are able to set things aside specifically to those socioeconomic categories, restricting competition even further to allow for small businesses with that socioeconomic status in that category to be able to bid and be awarded that requirement and contract. So this is why we encourage small businesses, and I really will, like, snap my fingers, foot stomp, make a show of, like, that is really the biggest thing, is responding to sources sought notices. I know it can be frustrating because you don't always get responses back, but it is the biggest and best way that we are able to set requirements aside for small business. So we want to determine if we can set it aside. We want to set things aside as much as possible. I know myself and the small business advocates around, that is what we champion for. But we can't do that if we don't get responses to sources sought or RFIs, as we are not able to meet those rules of 2. So really, as much as you can, please, please, please respond. A sources sought is to determine if a small business can perform the work, so it will be evaluated. That is a little bit different than a request for information, which is just to collect written information about capabilities of various suppliers. So please respond to both. They're slightly different in what we use them for, but both are very pivotal in responding to, so that we can set them aside as much as possible. So this slide also provides a couple of tips regarding your responses to a sources sought notice. You want to make sure your response is aligned with the requirements listed in the notice. Overall, make sure your response demonstrates your capabilities and expresses your knowledge and experience. Also, make sure your past performance is relevant, recent, and cites contracts your company has performed which involved the same or similar scopes of work. And something that's not in my notes here that I want to make sure everyone realizes is it does not have to be past government experience. It just has to be recent and relevant. It can be private in nature as long as it is recent and relevant to the work that we're trying to do. And it's the same or similar scope, so we can tell that you are capable of doing what we're going out and soliciting for. So. All right, so GSA offers a nationwide list of large prime contractors who've received federal contracts of over $750,000 for products and services, or $1.5 million for construction contracts. That's the threshold that requires large prime contractors to subcontract out to either small or socioeconomic small businesses. They have to submit a subcontracting plan. I review those, and we agree to goals for those large businesses, and then they go out and try to find subcontractors to achieve those goals. One of the main ways they do that is through this GSA subcontracting site, which lists subcontracting opportunities. You may find it helpful to filter the opportunities by NAICS code, and I highly recommend you do so, or the prime contractor's headquarters location, or by the state where the work is being performed, as a lot of work is obviously location specific. So subcontracting for something that's, say, in Florida when we're all in Montana is going to be a little bit more challenging than trying to filter by things that are in Montana per se. So it seems fairly common sense, but also is extremely important, as when you get in there, maybe your first notion is not to filter by location, it's to filter by NAICS. I would recommend doing both. In addition to the GSA subcontracting directory, you can also utilize our GSA eLibrary website to identify large primes. who will potentially have subcontracting opportunities. I think the link to the e-library is on this site, on this slide, excuse me, as well as some other past slides. Please utilize that. You can dig into anything that's going to have a big old O next to size, means other than small business. That means they're likely going to have subcontracting opportunities under their contract. You don't have to hold a scheduled contract with GSA to subcontract. You may be able to be the regional subcontractor for an OTSD that has work in a specific area. Or a small business that's currently having schedule can also subcontract, but it is by no means required to subcontract with one of our existing prime contract holders. So please visit both websites to do further research. I'm also happy to answer questions as you guys kind of start to dig into that. So another great website for federal subcontracting opportunities is SBA's Subnet. This site is a great way for small businesses to search for potential contracting opportunities with large prime contractors. So as a small business, you should choose the location from the Subnet map, and it'll provide a list of contract opportunities by location, the closing date, point of contact, description of the opportunity, and a lot more information. That's another resource. It's not a GSA resource, so I cannot speak to how often it is updated, but I know SBA tries to make sure that it is current and accurate as much as possible, and it is a nationwide database. So hopefully there's something in there for everybody that does a little bit of research. So with that, we'll kind of move on to our forecast. And this is a forecast tool, and this slide will help you identify potential contracting opportunities with the GSA. So please spend some time on this website. It's acquisitiongateway.gov/forecast. It's right there listed under forecast website access. You do not have to have a login. You can log in if you would like to, but it's not required for you to go through and peruse the opportunities. The goal is that you become familiar with the GSA forecast of opportunities, as all government agencies maintain a forecast of contracting opportunities website, and all of these forecasts are found at acquisitiongateway.gov. These are not just GSA requirements. These are requirements that are any civilian agency. DoD does not use this. They have their own forecast tools that we can talk about, but that is outside of GSA's scope. So really just anything civilian. Any of those other civilian agencies are going to post things through this same website. On these forecasts, we're required to post all future and expected requirements over $25,000 for supplies and for services on our forecast site. The forecast, excuse me. There we go. All right. And the forecast tool provides information on planned federal contracting opportunities and assists with acquisition planning by helping vendors learn about potential prime contracting opportunities early in the process. So things that get posted on here are going to get posted on here before they hit SAM.gov. This is our forecast. When they hit SAM.gov, we're actually going out typically for either a sources sought, request for information, or solicitation. This is what we're forecasting before it hits SAM.gov. They're uploaded to give contractors an overview of what should be coming out of an agency. You can easily filter the data, much like SAM or eLibrary or any of those other tools, by agency, location, place of performance, NAICS code, contract type, and many other filtering functions. I highly recommend you kind of play with those and see what best fits for your company. So a quick link was developed for the forecasting site, which is www.fbf.gov. There are also the two other links that will take you to the GSA FCO sites. And as I mentioned earlier, the acquisitiongate.gov website will take you to all of the federal agencies' forecast sites. So it's not just GSA information. Highly recommend you look in there for anything that's, say, Health and Human Services or IRS or Bureau of Land Management. I mean, the breadth is any civilian agencies pretty much on here, and we have those contracting officers from those agencies post those forecasts quarterly. So if you're new or getting back into the federal government procurement arena, make sure you set up time with your local Apex accelerators. Again, foot stomp how amazing these folks are that are hosting here today. They're one of the best resources we have in the small business community to help you with the federal procurement landscape. I've mentioned them throughout the webinar, and the Apex Accelerators provide that training, that counseling on marketing, financials, contracting, all at no cost, since they're sponsored by taxpayer funding and grants. So really want to make sure that one of the big things we see at GSA is people that want to get on our multiple awards schedule paying consulting firms instead of utilizing Apex Accelerators with that to assist with that onboard process. We understand the onboard process can be cumbersome and confusing, and we understand the need for outside assistance, but utilize as much as possible things that don't cost money to you. And Apex Accelerators is one of those great resources that can help you with that. So I also recommend taking time to visit SBA. Their website and personnel have many resources for small businesses. They have business opportunity specialists at every single district office, and 3 sources are provided as a starting point there for reaching out to the SBA. PCRs are typically going to be the ones that are reviewing more of the actual procurement documentation, but the SBA business development centers, those business opportunity specialists, those are the folks that are going to be amazing resources to help you with identifying federal opportunities and where you kind of align in the federal landscape. All right, so I just wanted to highlight the Dynamic Small Business Search, which is an SBA website, and we're specifically highlighting the profile page. It's essentially a free advertisement to the federal government and potential teaming partners. So we mention this because we see outdated information on company profiles quite often, which is usually an email or phone number that aren't in service or point of contact who is no longer with the company. So this site may be your first contact with a government agency. So we really recommend to keep that updated and ensure it accurately reflects your current business. Something not on my notes is to make sure you also upload that capabilities narrative with your capabilities statement, as that is a huge way that when we're doing market research, we read through those and potentially might reach out to you if it's sounds like our requirement is in alignment and a good fit for your company. So DSPS pulls and populates these fields from the data you've entered in SAM.gov, which does sometimes leave unpopulated fields. Note on this slide, the capabilities narrative, keywords, and performance history are all circled as they all say none given, which would be it pulled from SAM.gov, didn't pull any of the information. So please make sure you go in there and update that. That's a huge way that we do market research as a federal agency. And just make sure your capabilities narrative is polished. Add any specialized services or supplies you provide. Highlight technical expertise that separates you from your competitors in this section. And also take a look at your keywords. Keywords help narrow down the search results, which is helpful if we're looking for someone with additional specialties or a specialized skill, which is less common under a super general NAICS code category. So make sure you update this section with your common industry keywords, and again, highlight those specialized keywords that differentiate you from your competitors. Foot stomp again, Apex Accelerators has experience with crafting these, and if they need assistance, they can assist, as well as myself or the SBA as well. Finally, ensuring your performance history, adding recent and relevant work, again, does not have to be government. It can be private industry, as long as it is recent and relevant work to the NAICS code, codes that you're under, that you really want to highlight for us when we're doing our market research and digging into your past performance, as we call it. So there's also been an update to the Dynamic Small Business tool, and this is where I was talking about making sure to add your capability statement. They now allow you to link your capability statements to your profile, which helps you to market your business. So that can be helpful, as obviously I know many small businesses, most, if you're in the federal landscape, have a capability statement, and it's probably a lot more polished than you're going to be able to just drop a capabilities narrative in. It's going to have more information. It's going to be more comprehensive. So you can now link those, and we do look at those, and I highly recommend you do. If you have not linked your capability statement, do that in the Dynamic Small Business Search, as when contracting officers go into that tool, they are pulling those out and reading those to see what's a good fit for your small business, or if your small business is a good fit for our requirement. So we all know there are individuals already targeting small businesses with scams and fraud. I kind of already mentioned this with private consultants for mass. That's not necessarily scams or fraud. There's just a better way to do it utilizing Apex accelerators and myself, as we're no cost to you. But there's also, on top of that, a lot of scams and fraud just out there in the federal procurement landscape. So please protect yourselves, your family, and your business by being aware of potential scams, because the last thing we want to see is you guys coming to us after you've been taken advantage of or anything like that, and coming to us and then asking for help, where we would love to help you. And if you come to us first, you might potentially save yourself a lot of trial and tribulation. So Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency website posts daily with the latest alerts and common scams to help you guard against like phishing attacks, malicious attacks, things like that. CMMC requirements, which is a DoD requirement for cybersecurity, is starting to become a requirement in contracts. GSA is not formally requiring it in ours yet, as it is a DoD requirement, but CMMC will be coming, and that's going to require all of our contractors to go through and certify at certain levels their cybersecurity structure and how secure, and certifying how secure their cyber is. So please protect yourself. Be aware of the scams up front, especially with the increased concerns of potential foreign state-sponsored cyber attacks. All of these resources can be found updated daily on that website. Highly recommend you set up where you get daily alerts from them. All right. So here is a partial list of my GSA counterparts across the country. We believe in utilizing and advertising our GSA small business program as much as possible, as small businesses will always be our top priority. So please reach out to me if you have any questions or want to reach out to any of these contacts. You can go to them directly, or I can set up an introduction with them as well. So if you're looking for opportunities in any of these states within GSA, I provided a direct link there at the bottom that will take you directly to all of this information. This is not all of our SBTAs, Small Business Technical Advisors. This is just the specialists that primarily cover the largest regions in the US. So I like to highlight those. And obviously, we are going through some personnel changes, but those folks, everybody but Lori is still an active email and phone number. Lori, unfortunately, is retiring this month. So, all right. Finally, you can access some government contracting fact sheets. We've put these together. They have a lot of helpful like hints and tricks, best practices, things like that. We hope you'll find these to be very helpful. In my email signature block, have all of these fact sheets linked. So if you ever send me an email and when I respond, all of these fact sheets will be at a click of a button in my signature block, but they're also linked here. Things like how to respond to pre-award notices, how to market to federal customers, specifically like if you're getting a GSA mass schedule, you're going to want to know how to market that GSA mass schedule out to those agencies, as they're going to need to know that mass schedule exists, and you're going to have to market it to get some business off of it. So also success with SAM, that's a big one, just because even though we manage SAM, SAM has questions across the board on, everybody has a different experience with it and they're not always positive. So we like to give out some success stories of like, hey, this is how to make it work for you, but also some common hiccups when registering or getting some of that information in there that we utilize. So with that, I think I'm coming to the end of my formal presentation. So I want to remind everyone that the information we shared today reflects the most current guidance available. However, policies, regulations, and procedures are evolving fast and quickly over time. So to stay informed, we encourage you to check the website listed and other government channels mentioned here today for the latest updates. Our goal is to always provide you with the most accurate information, and we appreciate your understanding as things continue to develop, as many of those directives are coming down to us and then being implemented very, very quickly, with little time for us to go out and make sure you guys are aware what's happening. So that's where GSA Interact, our blogs, our socials, all of those things are really good things to keep up on, as any updates are going to get posted out publicly there. So really want to thank everybody for their time. Please email me if you have any additional follow-up questions from today's training outside of the Q&A that I think will open up here shortly. And as I mentioned before, we'll be sending out a copy of the slides. I believe Montana Apex will be handling that. And if there's any questions on if the links aren't working or anything like that, please reach out to me and I'm happy to send those directly to you. So thanks again, and I will stop sharing here and we'll open up Q&A. I really appreciate it, guys.